Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to interview episode for Driving Dads.
Episode 10. Number 10 in December. What did I say? December. Yeah. But it's the 10th episode.
Yeah.
How the hell did we get to 10 of these?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we need to do more next year.
Yeah. Okay. So being interview, I think everybody's doing a sort of roundup of the year, the roundup of the news, roundup of everything. So we're going to have a look at, we're going to choose our cars of the year.
Yeah.
We'll look at some of the cars that are coming to the end of their lives in this year. Maybe have a look at what's coming in 2024. Talk a little bit about Formula One, roundup of 2023.
Yeah, there's not much that we need to round up because Max kind of won like everything, broke every record. Yeah, he maxed out this year. Sorry, I had to. Christmas cracker jokes.
Oh God,
we should have done some of those. If I get any, I'll just throw them in. How's it?
Okay. Warn me, please. Okay. Then we'll talk about some of our predictions for next year. Let's see.
Should we start with the car of the year thing?
Okay. So, as usual, everybody's doing a car of the year. So we chose a concept car that we really liked and a production car we really liked. I was slightly naughty. I chose two production cars.
Oh well. And I think we disagree a little bit on the concept car. So what's yours?
Mine is the Porsche Mission X.
Very nice though.
Yeah,
and mine's that Mercedes W11.
Yeah, the remake of the classic.
I suppose it's a bit unfair because it never got beyond concept.
Oh yeah, no, I mean
even back then.
No, it's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's an amazing concept. I mean, my reason for the Porsche, basically, this is Porsche. I mean, Porsche is in its prime at the moment. I mean, just. It's after hits. Yeah. I mean, the new 911, I think ST is getting such incredibly good reviews.
Oh, nice.
And they're going great guns with the new Panamera that's just been launched, but it looks like the old one, so I'm not too fussed about it. Except there's no Turismo, which I think is a shame. Anyway, so Porsche is going great speed, and this Mission X is such a statement of intent.
It is. But I think, even with the W11 concept car, for me, I think it's a positive sign that they're now playing around with concepts that are electric, that are purely electric. And I think it was the Mercedes, if I remember, why I liked that so much as they had, because I looked at an electric motor and thought, well, what can you do? I mean, with internal combustion engines, they forge the pistons, they do all sorts of things to give it more power. But then I thought, well, like it's magnets and a coil, what do you do? And then they've been playing around with that. And I think it's gone from being like engineers, well, it is engineers, but it's such hectic science now. And it's such fine margins. And I love the fact that there's dudes in a lab looking at magnetic fields and going, well, we can do this better, we can play with this.
I think the thing about the Mercedes concept is the fact that it's actually the tech. You're going to see a lot of the tech on production cars in 2 or 3 years time, or 5 years time down the road.
I absolutely love that.
I think it's a great car. It would be fabulous to see a production version of it.
I think it just looks. It's like it has the kind of the DeLorean vibe about it. It's like a mythical.
Slightly surreal.
Yeah, like if you see one, you'll be like, you'll get excited. Like a kid again. And I like that about it. I think there's something unique about it because you won't see any. Let alone seeing many. So I like that, but I think for me it was the technology side that
it's a fabulous car.
But the Porsche were doing the same. I think I just favoured the Merc.
I just like the fact that Porsche was coming out with something that was just so. It's their next evolution, effectively. It's successor to the 959, the 918s, and so on.
Both worthy, I think. Both worthy.
But anyway, and then production car. Okay, I chose two. Like I said, it was bad, but both of them they actually share something in common. Okay, my choice was the BMW 5 Series. Okay, as one, which comes in both petrol and electric versions. So standard BMW 5 and the R5. Okay. My other car I chose was the new Alfa 33, or Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale, which once again comes in both a RCE and a electric version. So by all accounts, 90% of the orders are for the petrol engine version.
In South Africa or in general?
Generally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you see, I think for me, the 5 Series, the R5 wins it for me because I mean, I've told the story before about meeting with the BMW technical guy, and I think it's such a lovely, sticker to that guy that they've now made there's in the same range. You've got an ICE and a petrol version, an electric version. But the fact that they've gone from, when I drove the R3, it was 120 Ks on the range, and you had to put a range extender to give you another 100. And now they've got purely electric with 600 Ks on range, which is phenomenal. That's amazing.
Don't forget, the newer class cars, the next generation, which are coming out in 2 or 3 years' time, they're looking at a range of 1,000 kilometers.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. And that's so as the technology gets better, these cars will get better. And I think they look like a normal car. That's
the point.
I think they've nailed it.
I mean, that Alpha 33, it's the last, like I said, the electric version, but 33 is the last of their petrol supercars.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's such a high note to go out on.
Yeah.
Okay, and your production cars?
Yeah, so the production car for me is the 5 series, the R5.
R5.
The R5 specifically.
Yeah.
So, and I think because it's electric and it's got such a range. Yeah. And I mean, it matches everything that the 5 Series is, the luxury family sedan. But I think the electric stuff is just, for me, that's where we need to go. It's the future. Yeah. Interesting, I was watching this stupid show on Disney Plus, Car SOS.
Okay.
And I saw the guys working on a 1920s Austin something or other. Mm-hmm. And there was a problem with the head.
Yeah.
And the guy had to have a specific engineer cold. There wasn't cold, it wasn't welding, but there was the cold stitching.
Yeah.
So he literally had to cut out a thing and stitch a new piece of steel in this. And he's like, oh, this is a dying art form. And I thought, is it? Because now if you've got a new the battery, you can pull the thing out and put a new one in. Yeah. You don't need to have someone who can literally cut a piece of metal to that 0.003 millimeters and make it work. So, and I think, yes, we're moving away from engineers and those people who could do that kind of stuff to anyone can do it almost, as long as you do it safely.
But let's see what it's like in 20 years.
But now we're getting the range and the performance and so I think we're going to go forward. But that for me is the car. That's the pinnacle for me. But actually, I'd like us to move on to the end of life things, because you mentioned the Alpha and they're going out.
Yes,
that's their last.
Okay, so as we know, every year car productions for certain models come to an end. But in the last 2 or 3 years, there have been a couple of cars that have come to the end of their lives that are
like icons.
Yeah. Okay. And this year, the couple that have really stood out to me. First off, this Audi bringing it into the TT range and the R8 range. Now,
that's huge, eh?
In all fairness, there is probably in the future going to be electric versions, at least of the R8. They've effectively announced that. TT undecided, which is a pity. But yeah, I mean, the TT is was 3 generations, 25 years of the TT. Yeah. I mean, when the original TT show car came out, I mean, the design was
bold, actually.
I loved it. Beautiful design. I mean, it was so architectural.
Yeah.
I mean, such a simple design. I mean, it's just this combination of just curves, hemispheres, and curves and straight lines. I mean, it's something like that I haven't seen for years. Okay.
But the R8 also made a similar splash. I mean, people.
Yeah, I mean, the R8, the original R8 was famous with it. I was never quite convinced of it as a car, because I thought the Lamborghini was a slightly better car. But I mean, as design wise, the R8 was a fabulous car as well. With the blade on the side and I mean, I think if I had to choose between the Lamborghini and the R8, I would have chosen the Lamborghini.
I think choosing between the Lamborghini and R8 would kind of define whether you prefer function over form. Because it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
The R8, I mean, the R8, also the new generation got the V8s as well. And also going on a high note, there's some final run models which are really, really nice. Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing. It's an end of the line for those two models. I mean, Merck's dropped the SLK. BMW is persisting with the Z4.
Well, persisting, or are they just running another one?
I mean, so I mean, there's small sports cars like that are dying breed in a way. But at the same time, I know in a couple of years' time there are going to be ones coming out. Like I spoke about the Toyota last time.
Yeah.
There are a couple on the way. There's a new Daihatsu Copen, which is interesting. Which is it's actually not a K car anymore. It's actually slightly bigger.
Because that thing was tiny.
Yeah. Okay. But it looks very similar, but it's slightly more grown up.
Yeah.
So, but this is the thing. It's not Europe that's producing them. It's Japan. And so.
But there was another car you mentioned at the end of life, is the Ford. The Fiesta.
Okay. So the Ford Fiesta. Yeah. Okay. So, in fact, this is not just the Fiesta. I mean, generally, Ford has now dropped almost all their sedans, their hatchbacks, and so on. The Fiesta is essentially being replaced by a car called the Ford Puma, which is actually a jacked up
so it's like a
crossover. It's a crossover. So it's a very sad thing. There's no Mondeo, none of the sort of classic Fords anymore.
Yeah, it's weird but it was the shift to SUVs.
Yeah,
and I mean,
it's sad. I mean, you look at companies. I mean, for example, Mercedes are also dropping a bunch of their cars. The A-Class probably coming to an end in 2025. Yeah. Okay. So the CLA will continue. Okay. But they're dropping the A, they're dropping the B. They've amalgamated the C and the E coupes. Okay. But they're still going on the GLA, GLB, GLC, GLE, GLS. So I mean they're still got this huge range of 4x4s.
Yeah. Look, even Volvo have gone only SUV.
Yeah.
And I think their one, I saw the tagline was it's the smallest SUV available. Yeah. Which I find very weird. Yeah.
Smallest electric SUV. The EX30.
Yeah.
Probably,
Which is a very weird thing. Yeah. But it's the move to SUVs is disappointing in my opinion. But I think most car people are disappointed by it.
I mean, look at, for example, Chrysler's 300C has finally come to an end.
Oh, really?
The 300C is a fascinating car.
I love that car.
When it first came out, it was actually was a product of the time when Daimler Chrysler existed. Okay, and it essentially used the old Merc E-Class chassis.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and it's been using the old Merc E-Class chassis since then. Updated again and again and again. I mean, but that's a 90s chassis that's sitting under the car, basically.
Well, I mean, that kind of technology can stay the same.
Yeah,
I think that's great. And that, I don't know if they could use it now, but you could use it now. You could retrofit things. But so that's okay. So we're going to see some big names going.
Yeah. One thing, one last one is, which I was quite surprised by, Ferrari F8. Okay. So the F8 Tributo, the hardtop version is being dropped.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think the Spider's going to exist as going to be produced. Granted, I mean, there's the 296, which is essentially the same size, but at the same time, the 296 is also more expensive. Weirdly enough.
Yeah.
So it's weird that Ferrari's not going to have a small. That F8 size, or that size sports car.
Yeah.
It'd be equivalent to like Aston Martin dropping the Vantage.
But I mean, you've got so you've got a whole bunch of the specialist supercars coming out, like the McMurtry Spearling and things like that.
Yeah, so. But I mean, those are very specialized. I mean, but I mean, McLaren's obviously got the new 750. I mean, McLaren's range was actually enormous now. They got the Artura, they got the GT, they got the 750, they got a bunch of others.
And he's been quiet, in my opinion, is Koenigsegg.
Yeah, I mean, but they're such a specialist manufacturer. Yeah. They've got amazing cars. But their production runs are so small. Yeah. I mean, they got the Gemera, which is insane, a four-seater hypercar.
Oh, wow.
Jeez, we can discuss that on the next one. It's one of my cars that I think is going to be so interesting to see on track.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, as much as I love Koenigsegg, they are such a small volume manufacturer. It's not a huge thing because almost every single one of their cars is so personalized. I mean, it's
But I mean,
so
that's better than that. What we saw that? What is that big ugly SUV thing you showed me the one day?
Oh God, yes. That's whatever it was called. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
That thing. Okay. So that's but Okay, so that's market forces just pushing things up.
That is the case.
So we're in the middle of a huge shift. Because when last did we see a big shift like this? When they culled a whole bunch of cars?
Yeah, I mean,
was that the 50s, the 60s?
Yeah, I mean, essentially what happened. Okay, you look at the change. I mean, the big change came with the oil crisis in '73. Okay, which forced manufacturers to downsize the engines, especially like in the US and so on. Also, the increase in safety concerns. Ralph Nader, in the US, made a huge stink about certain cars and their safety standards. I mean, a lot of people don't like him. He had issues, but he had valid points about safety in cars and so on. Do you know that Volvo invented the 3-point seatbelt?
Yeah, and the story was because his wife was pregnant.
But you know that they didn't charge for the patent. Yeah. So everybody could use them.
Yeah, no, I heard that.
Yeah.
So because his wife was pregnant, and he looked at the dashboards at the time were built in, so they were all steel. Now we've got like these soft, cushy dashboards, that kind of thing.
Oh, I mean,
people were hitting their heads on. They were hitting their heads on the dashboard. So he put the 3-point safety belt, which is, I mean, how many lives? Like that must have saved like millions of lives. You know. And I know there's people who don't believe in seatbelts, which just it blows my mind.
I mean, you get those things that you can plug into your seatbelt, so it's just something.
Yeah, no, that's Well, and then I don't want to get into it. We'll have a safety guy on one day, and we'll talk about it. He'll probably tell us some horror stories. Actually, we must have a paramedic on one day, and they must tell us the stories, because the stories I've heard from paramedics are just awful. And you always hear that one guy, my uncle was thrown free and saved. No, your uncle was just damn lucky.
Yeah.
You know,
one guy in 1,000 sort of thing. Yeah.
So I mean, like, but with Volvo, so that's why I bought mine. 2009 car. I didn't buy it in 2009.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I looked at the cars that I could buy with equivalent money, I wasn't getting a 5-star safety rating. I wasn't getting side impact protection. I had 9 airbags, ABS, ESP. Okay, I don't think I have ESP in that car, but I do have some sort of traction control.
Yeah.
So there's all these safety features that, like, you know, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Think of what you get for an old Volvo. Yeah. Damn. Okay. Well, I almost feel like we should play some sad music now. I think the biggest one I'm going to miss personally is the Fiesta. I love the small hatchback. I think the hatchback is it's a nice starter car.
I mean, I've got a little Nissan Micro, which is probably one size up. But yeah, I mean, I had a Fiat Panda for heaven's sake. And I mean, I love small hatchbacks. I mean, I had a Fiat Uno, and blasting around in my little Fiat Uno was such a joy.
I had an Uno. I had the Grande Punto, which I didn't like. It was bigger, but an awful Fiat. Oh God, I hated the car. That actually put me off Fiat. And then I had a Ford Fiesta, the little one. Like when they first came out, they looked like the Mazda.
Yeah,
the Mazda Soho.
Yes,
little 1600 Sport. The first car I kind of rebuilt, and you know, such a great car with the Rocam engine. A beautiful car, and it's
it is sad. I mean, Kia is dropping the Rio as well.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I've always hated that car.
But once again, it's the small hatchback.
But the small hatchbacks are going to go. Renault seem to be persisting. Although they've dropped the Sandero. Okay, that's a Dacia in other countries, but they've dropped the Sandero from their lineup. They're still with the Kwid, but the Kwid is technically crossover.
Yeah.
A mini crossover.
Yeah.
So, oof.
But anyway, so new cars coming for next year. Just generally, there's updates to Rangers and so on.
Yeah.
A couple of nuances, new Hyundai Santa Fe.
Not Haval. What's the other Chinese brand?
Cherry,
yes. Committing to bringing more new energy vehicles next year. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so I think they're bringing
new. So Chery are bringing in the new energy vehicles. So the plug-in hybrids.
Yes,
vehicles, things like that.
So there's going to be a lot of that. I think we're going to see Mercs updating range, BMW updating the range. I think the big changes are going to be the Chinese brands, like you said. They bring in the hybrids. They're bringing in expanding the range. BYD's bringing in the Dolphin. Their little
Auto.
Yeah.
So it's funny because it's almost like, so now I'm putting on my marketing hat here, that the Chinese brands aren't afraid to fail. You know, and I mean, we've seen Haval change from GWM to this, to that, to that. They don't care. They'll just bring it out again,
Yeah.
So that really don't care about bringing a car that sucks and that people hate.
Yeah.
But they want to be out in the market.
Yeah.
Which makes it interesting because it gives you a car you can buy. And I mean, again, I've mentioned Hyundai when they came in with that, what was that, Elantra?
Yeah.
Like, it was 20,000 Rand in the 90s. Everybody bought one. They were awful colors, but they were this little sedan. And then Hyundai left South Africa. But those Hyundais stayed and they were running, and everybody saw that and were like, damn, these cars are reliable.
Yeah.
And when Hyundai were brought back in again, people bought it because they saw that. So every time these guys do it, they have that opportunity just to, they're throwing shit at a wall. Something's going to stick. And it's cool that we have the opportunities to buy an electric car and work on it.
I mean, so look, I think perhaps the biggest thing for the South African markets in the next year, 2 years is going to be electrification. I mean, because we've said before, now Europe, US, Europe specifically, is going up to all electric.
Yeah.
All new cars have to be electric from 2030, which is not that far away.
No.
And how it's going to affect us here, and we've already said, I mean, it's going to up the market even further for Chinese brands who are still going to use using internal combustion. So it's going to be interesting to see. Many, I believe, bringing in the new Countryman, which is, I think, they're bringing in the electric Countryman. I think the next year is going to be a lot more electric cars on the road. And I was passed by an Audi
Audi?
No.
Not an Audi, what?
BMW i7.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, it's an... Oh.
I can't believe I said Audi R7. Oh, I'm tired.
That's the end of the year. Bugger.
BMW R7. But the weird thing is, okay, never mind the looks, but it passed me. It was all I heard was the tires.
Yeah. So again, I love Engineering Explained, one of my favorite YouTube channels. We actually have to link it. He did a whole thing on winter tires for an electric car and spoke about the noise. Because I remember that. So when I first drove the Leaf, one of the things, it was ugly as hell, but they had given so much consideration to noise.
Yeah.
Because now wind noise is a factor.
Yeah.
And tire noise and things like that. So there's a lot that needs to be considered. So electric car tires need to hold more weight because the cars are heavy.
Yes, yeah.
So there's all these, like, so much is changing that we have to think differently. So it's going to be interesting to hear that, and I mean, sound dampening is going to be an amazing thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at something like the R7. I mean, or BMW in general with the electric cars. They've got Hans Zimmer to actually design sounds.
I heard so.
Yeah,
I've got a weird connection to Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer wrote the Star Wars one.
No, that's John Williams. Hans Zimmer has done Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy.
Yes. Okay.
Lots of.
No, it's not Hans Zimmer. Then I've got a weird connection to some. Yeah, never mind. 6 degrees of separation. Somehow I'm 3 degrees away from the guy who wrote. Is it Indiana Jones? No.
Yeah, no. John Williams. Yeah, John Williams.
Okay, no, that's a different person. But he wrote some big epic. Anyway, we'll talk about them. One day my stories will come out.
Okay.
Yeah, noises. That's going to be an interesting one. But so I mean, moving on to, I suppose, predictions of 2024. Are we going to predict what cars we're going to see, or? Should we talk about F1 and then go there?
Okay. Because I want to talk about predictions at the end, not just for for us, but...
And then we must actually write them down and stick them in an envelope.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have it on video. I mean, this is stupid. Never mind. That's just a dumb idea. It's the end of the year. I'm tired.
But anyway. Okay, so Formula 1. Okay. We all know Verstappen, Red Bull.
Okay.
I mean, that goes essentially without saying. I mean, breaking records left, right, and center. Look, in all fairness, don't forget, it was 23 races.
Yeah, so it's a lot more races.
Yeah, so, I mean, which gave him a lot more opportunity to break those records.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean...
I think he knows that, and I think everybody involved, like, for the marketing, they talk about it.
Yeah.
But generally, like, look, we're doing, like, 23 races. That's more than Senna did in 2 years. You know? That's just,
and don't forget, next year they're doing 24.
Oh, my God.
I know. Okay. But a couple of things I just want to talk about. Okay. So obviously what's up now? Perez.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Perez did come second in the championship.
Yeah.
I don't know how, considering his performances. I mean, he snuck in there. He had some good performances. I don't lie. I mean, he won what, 2 races?
Yeah.
Yeah. But. He's not the driver who I thought he was going to be this year.
No, not at all.
I was expecting so much better from him. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to challenge Max all the time, but at the same time, I thought he put up more of a fight.
Yeah, because when you look at the great number twos, so Eddie Irvine, Valtteri Bottas, like the really great number twos are there. Like they're always right there. You know? When what's his name, Rubens Barrichello, right there all the flipping time. And then like you're in awe of that, because then you go, okay, it's a great team, and the one driver is just better.
I mean, you talk about the great teams, Massa as well. I mean, they were there for their they were there for the other driver, and as a tail gunner, protecting them when needed, and so on. But Perez wasn't there for Max. Max just was so dominant, it didn't make a difference.
I mean, he won that flipping Constructors Championship on his own. So that's huge. Well, look, when you think back, like 2021, that Abu Dhabi race, I know everybody's this massive controversy, but Perez and his holding up of Hamilton, I mean, that was like phenomenal. Like, and so the man has the skill. Like, I mean, look, his racecraft is like great.
He's a fabulous driver, but he just wasn't performing.
That's his qualifying though. We know that. Like, because every race he kind of was coming back, and then he was, and like I think there was the one. It was a sprint where he was taken out by Ocon. And I was so frustrated watching that, because it's like, you're better than this. You're better than getting in between a 6th and 7th place and getting taken out by stupidity, because Ocon, for me, I will not miss that guy when he's off. I can't. I just can't. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but just no. Actually, the whole Alpine team environment, like, I like Pierre Gasly, but like, Well,
Alpine really need to jack up their performance.
We're just such a letdown.
I mean, because Gasly is a fabulous driver. He is, he is such a good driver. But I'll come to that in a moment.
Okay, so we both, Sergio Perez was very disappointing this year. Look, he still came second, which is a great consolation prize and a bit of a recovery, I think. And like, so, okay, cool, now do better.
But so the best of the rest drivers. 3 drivers in particular. I think. Albon. Albon pulled Williams by himself into 7th. I think he is. If Williams can hold on to him, I think, and if Williams can have a bit of a comeback, I think he's in such a good position. He's still a youngster. I mean, and I think he's such a good driver, and he's shown such good skill, especially, I mean, coming through. There was a one race where I think he was finished 6th or 7th, and the guys chasing him down, faster cars.
No one could pass him. I can't remember which race, but I know which one you're talking about. But so I just want to touch on Alex a bit, because I hope that the wounds and the hurt from the way Red Bull treated him, I hope it just makes him ruthless. Because that's what Max has, that's what Lewis has, that's what Michael Schumacher has, that's what Ayrton Senna had. They did not give a flying anything. They would like, I mean, Michael rode into Damon Hill at that time.
They were called out.
They were ruthless. Like you will not win this race, or you will die. You know, so he has just this flipping fire, and like I hope that he gets that, because he needs it. He's technically amazing. He just needs that, like, I'm going to kill you, get in my way kind of vibe. He needs that.
Okay, my second driver on the list, Fernando Alonso.
Okay.
For a guy who is now the oldest guy on the track, he was racing when some of these guys were barely born. I mean, famously.
Well, Oscar keeps saying, Fernando keeps getting reminded that he started before Oscar was born.
I mean, it's insane. But I mean, granted that there was a bit of a drop off later in the year when the teams caught up to Aston Martin, which is an issue for Aston Martin. But I mean, who would have predicted? I mean, at the beginning of the year, that Alonso would be fighting for second place in the championship.
But who ended up getting third? It was Lewis, though. It
was Lewis.
Lewis deserves a bit of credit for that, because Mercedes was a dog. And look, he also didn't comprehensively beat George. You know, so the fact that means that, like, George is pretty good. I kind of like
I George,
but I'll give Lewis credit for hanging on to third. I think that's a very good achievement.
Okay, and my last driver is my rookie of the year, Oscar Piastri.
Oscar, just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, I think he's unlucky he didn't walk away with a win this year.
No, I think, yeah, he was unlucky. But, I mean, he won that sprint. And I remember watching it. I was just like, I love seeing new people win.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love. So, I mean, even I liked watching him win that Hungarian Grand Prix, even though circumstances were a bit odd. But seeing Oscar win, and then the presentation ceremony, it's just like, come on, guys, like celebrate for something. But he was great this year. Absolutely great.
And he took the fight to Lando.
No, he really did. But he was unlucky at times. Which, we look over a season and we forget that people get unlucky. I mean, Daniel had a lot of bad luck with Red Bull, and people forget about that. They just go, oh, he was beaten. But you also, he's had some unlucky times. Oscar was great. I've got him on my notes to talk about because he's like, he was so good. Like, and we haven't seen a rookie like that since like Max, and then Lewis before him. So that's a good sign.
He's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, he's definitely one to watch. I agree with that. So the best of the rest. I mean, I think Fernando. Alex for me would take that in my opinion because his consistency.
Yes,
and his consistency with the car. Look, his team then gave him a consistent car throughout the year.
Yes,
whereas Fernando was up and down, and then just to make it. To drag that Williams around was just great, and some of his races were just phenomenal.
As for the teams, okay, I mean, Alpine needs a serious wake up. I mean, I don't know what's with Alpine, especially towards the end of the year. They were just they were just
being a sponsor of Alpine. It's like they get no TV time. Well, I mean, Alfa Romeo. Did you see any of them? Like I barely saw Alfa.
Don't forget that Alfa's no longer. Which is,
so that's the new awful name. But I mean. Like, you never see them because nothing's happening with them. They don't even have a race where they shine. So, there were times when, like, different cars would be on the podium and we'd be, okay, between McLaren, Ferrari, and those guys, we see it, cool. But there's nothing happening. They're just kind of camping at the back. And that's so detrimental for the sponsors, I think. But also, it's just they get in the way, I think. And that's just irritating racing. And then you've got Andretti who's trying to get in and they're being blocked by Alpine. I mean, by Alpine, Haas, and Alpha. And you just go, really? You three are taking the spot and you're stopping someone else from trying.
Yeah.
That bugs me a bit, I think.
We'll see what happens with the Andretti team. I think it's a going interesting thing because, I mean, the big fight is also between the FIA and Formula One.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a whole bunch of politics there, which is so murky. It's actually scary.
So you were talking about teams, so Alpine. So
okay.
We both agreed they were rubbish.
Aston Martin started off well, but they dropped off. Or rather, let's just say the other teams caught up and they weren't able to improve.
Yeah.
Okay. And finally, AlphaTauri. Okay. Yeah. AlphaTauri. Once again, also decent drivers, but also just I think
there's so much drama. I mean, with what's his name, who got kicked out.
Yeah.
And I liked him. I thought he was a good driver. I mean, he won the Formula E championship, so he's not awful. But it's just that was something wrong there. But it always tells me that there's so much more than just getting in a car and driving.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing with AlphaTauri, okay, well, next year it's not going to be AlphaTauri anymore. Yeah. The rumor is it's going to be Racing Bull or Racing Bulls. Okay. I'm not quite sure. This is the thing. The fact that one company owns two teams, granted, they're supposed to be kept separate. There's a whole bunch of things that they're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
But also, it's just, I just feel if it was owned by somebody else, it might get the attention it deserves instead of being relegated to a feeder team for the main one.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they'll be competing with Red Bull for championships anytime soon.
But
they might. I mean,
it's not so much but they might be able to, if they were an independent team, they might be able to have that focus to say, well, we can now.
Well, they could definitely use another engine.
Sure. Okay.
Not that the Red Bull powertrains is bad. Look, I mean, I think the drama with the drivers was too much this year.
Yes.
I think after Helmut Marko made that statement about Perez, he suddenly, it seems like he got told to shut up.
Yeah.
Because he's disappeared. We didn't hear from him for a while, which is quite nice. I think, I don't believe personalities like him are beneficial to anyone.
Yeah.
So And I think it's such a negative. But to think that when you look at the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri setup, to think that how many drivers on the grid came through there.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, now we've got Max Sergio, you've got Carlos Sainz came through there, Daniel,
Albon,
Gasly, so there's a few people who come through there, which is quite nice to see that there's some sort of movement and people are going.
Somebody made a very good point the other day. Okay. Next year, no driver changes at all.
Yeah.
First time, I think, ever in Formula history. Okay. So no new rookies. And there's an issue here. I mean, all these guys have junior drivers. I mean, when they have, like, for example, at the last race, they had, in free practice 1, they had the junior drivers racing. And somebody actually asked a question, how many of these guys are ever going to get a proper chance in Formula 1?
I think that's the nature of Formula 1.
Yeah.
We have 8 billion people in the world and only 20 spaces for Formula 1 drivers.
Granted, I mean, it must be so frustrating for some of those guys. So.
It is, but so I liken it to, when you're at school and there's a rugby team at school.
Yeah.
And generally what happens is you start off, you're in grade 8, you're a lighty, you're 13, you play for the under 13s, under 14s team. Then you get older, you move to the under 15s, blah, 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 blah. The guys who are playing first team rugby leave because they can't be at school anymore, so they have to go, so there's naturally a space. And I think we link that to other things, because when you go into normal rugby, franchise rugby, you get guys who play for 10, 15 years, and he'll hold that space, and there's no one else who can take that space. So you have all these people come through the system that are just never going to get a shot. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the nature of professional sport. I don't feel sorry for these guys. I think none of them are sitting there spending their last dime. Trying to get. So I feel nothing for them. They're going to go off and they're going to drive other cars and they'll be happy and they'll live their lives normally. I think the guys who do get an opportunity and grab it, which is going to lead me to Liam Lawson. Because like you see guys go, and I thought Liam Lawson, I saw him drive with, like I saw a couple of videos of him with Alex. They were doing the DT, the DTM cars, and I thought, okay, whatever. But like he got in there and he nailed it from the get-go. To think that, that AlphaTauri is not the greatest car to drive, but he was just like, I'll take it. And he grabbed it with both hands. And I must be honest, in my opinion, Daniel was very lucky to get that seat back. Because I would have been like, maybe we should just stick this one out. And let's see. But because that's what happens in sports. You lose your opportunity for some reason. I think he was like very, very good for those few races.
I fully agree. I mean, it's going to be, but my question: Liam Lawson didn't come through that young driver program, did he?
Actually, I don't know. I don't know. That's true. But he was very big. He grabbed that opportunity and took it. And he's a great media personality. He's got like the kind of thing that people want to see. So, which I think is cool. And I think he really grabbed his opportunity with both hands. And that, like, it's good old Daniel. Daniel's such a personality. It's hard to imagine Formula 1 without him. But he needs to shine. Yeah, next year, that's coming year, he needs a win. Yeah, he's got to get it back. I rate him. I love seeing him around the grid. I think he's a really good driver. I think, like, looking at his McLaren years, and it's so disappointing that it was awful. But also the fact that he gave McLaren their only win in how many years? I think that's a huge testament to the man's. The drivers who I think have been so perpetually unlucky in the cars they've had. Hulkenberg. Yeah, I think Hulkenberg, if he had been given the right car at the right time, he would have been a world champion. Yeah, I think. You reckon? Okay. I think so. His qualifying is amazing. I think if he'd been in the right car at the right time, he would have been a world champion. Fun fact about Nico Hulkenberg. Do you remember when the A1 GP was still going? Yeah. He won the Durban race. Did he? Yeah. I was there. Like, I didn't know. I'd be like, Perez was also racing in the season, but he didn't come to Durban. Okay. But Hulkenberg won the Durban A1 GP. Let's actually find footage of it and put it up. Because so in our little hometown. Okay. But for next year, so much the same 24 races now. Who do you think is going to be challenging Red Bull? I reckon McLaren are going to be up there. Yeah. Or they're going to be absolute dog shit. It's one of the two. Either or. Yeah. They either got it right. But I think, seeing their trajectory, they might. I think the big problem for all the other teams is the fact that Red Bull was so dominant this year, they could start allocating resources
to 2024 early on, and they've already done a lot of prep for next year ahead of everybody else.
But they've got a higher base to start from because their car was so good.
Yeah. I must say, Ferrari has announced their launch date for their car, which is 95% new, which tells you exactly how much trust they had in the 2023 car.
What's the bet? Okay, that's going to lead me to my prediction. Let me write that down because that's
I think if Ferrari doesn't come out of the gate fast, they're going to be in for a very, very poor season.
It's sad, man. I'd love to see them do well because I think like the legends.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ferrari.
That's it. And I mean, their whole marketing is based on Formula One.
Yeah,
you know? Like
I mean, seriously, Enzo only started the road division essentially to pay for Formula One.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that. I love that concept, you know. Yeah. So whereas Mercedes will sell road cars and then, you know, Formula One for what reason, I don't know. But you know, Ferrari, that's it for them.
Yeah,
they need to do it. But they're always there and thereabouts. And I think they're always in the media and they're always like they're a big media machine, and I love it. Kind of like Red Bull. Red Bull's just a massive media machine. So do you think Red Bull are going to dominate again?
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it. I think it's going to be closer. I don't think that Red Bull will be as dominant as they were this year. I think it's going to be closer, especially in the midfield. I think you're going to see tightening up in the midfield. As much as I hate to say it, I think Haas once again are going to be the tail enders. If Albon can perform, Williams will do okay.
I wonder what Williams have up their sleeve for this year.
Well, apparently they had a ton more money thrown at them.
Oh, really?
For this coming year, so let's see what they can do. So we'll see. Okay. Look, I think it's going to be Red Bull leading, and then a fight between Mercedes and McLaren, maybe Aston and Ferrari. Okay, depending on if they can get their eggs in a row.
Okay,
ducks in a row.
So I got a wild prediction then.
Yeah,
you're going to see a Ferrari Red Bull, a Red Bull Ferrari. You're going to see that car look almost identical to Ferrari. That's my prediction. I might be wildly wrong, but I mean that's what Aston Martin do it, and it works for them. I think Ferrari was sitting there going, "We don't know what the hell's going on." They kind of do. It's really good. I think. Look, I think all teams will start to kind of look the same.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it's always been.
But I think that's or they're just going to be like no side pods, like you know, naked car.
Yeah,
who knows?
Well, we'll see. Don't forget 2026 the rules change again.
Yeah,
that's going to be
true. So it might just be easier to go. Well, let's just copy them.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some drama with Sergio Perez and Daniel next year.
Think so?
I think so. I think if he does not get started strong, they're going to kick him because they're not shy to. They will kick you halfway through the season if they don't care.
Yeah.
And if he does not, like if for example, we see in the first 4 races, Max not winning all 4, I think like let's say for example you find Max winning 1 and then McLaren or Ferrari or someone else winning another, and when they start feeling the pressure, they're gonna have to move.
And if Sergio's not providing the
this year they can get away with it because Max is just like, well, bugger it, I'll do it myself. But if that happens, I think they're going to kick him. So they won't be shy. They'll be like, out.
Yeah.
You know.
You're here to support Max.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, then don't need you.
Or win. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you can't be 6th and 7th in the fastest car. That's not on. So
I wouldn't disagree with you that.
I don't think they'll be shy for that. Controversial one. I think Oscar is going to win a race before Lando.
That is going to be... Lando's going to be not happy with that.
It'll be heartbreaking because I do love Lando. I think he's phenomenal. I think it's going to be that way around. I think Oscar just has
Lando's a great driver, but I think Piastri, with a year's experience under his belt now, I think he's probably got the edge.
I think he's ruthless enough to do it. I mean, he's wily enough to do it. And looking at some of his, when they were up in front, when they qualified 2nd or 3rd and things like that, and just the way they managed to pass faster cars, but just being smarter, I think that's brilliant. I think they're gonna be able to do it.
Have you seen the name for the X Alpha
Sauber Alpha Kick? What?
Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. Oh,
do these guys do they not play video games? Do people not get kicked? Like, how did they? Oh, I suppose that's the name of that stupid streaming platform.
Yeah.
I just Team Kicks.
Team Kick Sauber. Yeah.
When a bully sticks a sign on the back of it, kick me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like
there's gonna be so many.
Yeah, there's too many title sponsors in that name.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless, they could be called anything. They could be called God's only chosen team returned back from Earth. They need to perform. There's nothing they can do will change that.
But that's the thing. I mean, they're essentially not holding pattern until 2026.
Until Audi takes over. Yeah, they're terrible. Last prediction. We're going to see AlphaTauri on the podium. Because they've decided to take more components from Red Bull, as many components as they can, as a customer team, as they're allowed, because that's what Haas do with Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see them do it right. Who's the incoming team principal now? It's Lawrence Mankies from Ferrari.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. We're going to see them on the podium. That's my prediction.
That's good. Will be quite a jump for them from this year.
Yeah. Look, I'd love it. Yeah. I think it'll be great. Either or. Make Yuki do a shoey. That'll be cool. You know? But yeah, those are my F1 predictions. I think we'll see that.
I don't really much in the way of predictions. I wouldn't mind. What I wouldn't mind seeing is something like Williams on the podium.
I'd love it.
I think, especially obviously Albon to be on the podium. Williams.
That would be. He would deserve it. Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. But beyond F1 predictions for this coming year, anything in particular? It's a difficult one because we need to sort out in South Africa our fuel price and our electricity infrastructure. Yeah.
Because those two things are hurting the country in every way. And both of them, you know. And it's weird to think that, you know, we could just move to electric cars because the fuel prices are, no, we can't.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we're in an interesting position. I think we're going to see more electric cars on the road.
Yes.
I read such a great article on one of the news articles we're going to need to finish soon, where the guy had a Volvo electric car for a month, and he said he didn't battle at all to charge it, even with hectic load shedding and joking.
Yeah.
So I think once people start seeing the evidence that it's possible, because I mean, I remember driving on, I used minimal electricity. Yeah. Like it was, you know, so it's possible.
Yeah. I think the big issue with electric cars is not so much in the city. I mean, when you can charge at home. Yeah. I mean, like my mum's down in Cape Town, and if I had an electric car and I wanted to drive down to her, then I'll start running into issues. Okay.
But remember, generally people fly from one city to the next.
It's true enough.
So those who want to travel far will get an ICE car. So I think it's one of those things. I think we will start to see more electric cars regardless. As for what happens with our fuel price, who the hell knows? Yeah,
that depends so much on external factors. And so.
But once we start adopting it, once you start seeing more and more electric cars, it'll be quite interesting to see the change.
Worldwide, I think a couple of interesting things. I think Tesla is going to be in for a bad year. You know that they've just announced a 2 million car recall in the US.
Oh, really? For Tesla?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, because the autopilot issues.
Oh. I just wish they'd stop making cars that want to interfere with driving.
I think that I'm not separating Tesla from Elon Musk is an issue.
It's difficult, yeah.
I mean, obviously the Cybertruck, which it's
awfully ugly.
Oh god, yeah.
Like I see it, I get it. Like I can say, okay, that's cool. I don't like it. I don't like the concept of it. I don't want so much electronics in a car. You know.
Yeah.
But, you know,
anyway, so Tesla I think is going to be bad here because of the issues with production and unfortunately I think issues with their CEO.
Yeah, they're going to battle there. But I think the Musk aside, the fact that they've had quality control issues.
Oh, I mean, they've had
unforgivable.
Yeah, especially. I mean, if they were a startup company and it was their first production run,
Yeah.
But now they got the S, the Y, the X.
And instead of fixing the production
3
issues, they keep chucking craziness at it. Suddenly ludish mode and like plaid things and yokes. Fix it, because the reality is that, again, in my stupid marketing brain, quality is going to be your biggest seller every time.
Because Tesla's biggest issue is now the mainstream. The mainstream manufacturers are now on stream with electric cars, and they have the quality because they know
they have the experience to make it properly, and that's where it's going to be the downfall of them, the fact that they can't keep up with it.
I mean, I give them full credit for pioneering sort of electric cars, but unfortunately, they're going to be a victim of their own success in a way.
Yeah,
because
and arrogance, because other people would have tasked another factory to build their cars.
Yes,
Toyota have one here. Okay, they run it, but like so many other people. So
I mean, a good example. VW was about to launch a new little electric SUV, the Scouts.
Yeah.
Okay, it's being handled by a company called Magnaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are manufacturing companies who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you're so arrogant. You say, "Well, I'm the best. I know what I'm doing." And I'm not pointing fingers at one person in particular, but the company.
Yeah.
And while it's great to say, "Oh, it's made in the US," cars made in China, better quality.
Yeah.
So let's be honest here. That's a big slap in the face because they use China as the epitome of poor quality, and now it's not anymore.
Yeah.
It's that age-old story that I love to tell, where there's a professor who gave his students, it was a pottery class, which is so weird to think there's a professor of pottery. So it's obviously a BS story. He split the class in two and said, "Okay, this half your year-end project is to make the perfect piece. This side, you'll be measured on quantity, so you have to make as many as possible."
Yeah.
And at the end of the semester, the people who made more made better quality because they got to practice.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, and that's why China is improving at such a rapid rate because, again, like I said, they're willing to fail and they just go for it. Whereas the Americans, they just think, arrogant confidence. Here's the car, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
That's the one. The other downfall of Tesla is the unwillingness to support cars.
Yeah. The stories of Tesla customer service are...
But also people who will repair it themselves and then they just reject it. You can't charge in the charging network at all.
Yeah.
They'll just cut you.
Yeah.
And you never had that, like if I were to repair my car and I took it to Volvo and said, "Hey, I've repaired my car, can you do X, Y, Z?" They're not going to say, "No, you've changed your own brakes, I'm not going to service your car." That's insane. So they need to... But look, car manufacturers also are getting cocky now with their... making you pay for this and that. I think if they carry on that route, you're going to see a lot of piracy.
Yeah.
And I'll welcome it.
There's going to be some interesting things. Actually, reminds me of a little thing. Okay, Porsche Macan. Okay. Now, there's a new electric Macan coming, but the petrol Macan is still on sale. But it's actually being dropped in Europe.
Oh, is it?
Okay. But not because of emissions or anything like that. It's because the current... petrol Macan doesn't have sufficient cybersecurity.
Oh wow!
Okay, because Europe's introduced a new sort of levels in terms of car security for it. And when they designed the Macan, the rules hadn't been finalized.
Yeah.
So they designed to a certain spec, but now the new rules are being introduced, and they don't match up.
That's so fun. This is they need to make cars simpler. Period. I'm tired of this. Like, they need to do something.
It's such a double-edged sword here. I mean, cars are becoming more sophisticated because we got the safety, we got all this and the other thing, and and because of that, we need the greater computing power. We need this, that, and the other thing. But then at the same time, that makes it more vulnerable. And it's just this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
It's getting...
Well, that's an interesting one. Look, will we see anyone launch a new internal combustion engine next year?
There definitely saw internal combustion engines coming. Like I said, BMW is sort of building them. Look, it's just in Europe and US probably that are going to be electric only in the future.
Okay.
Japan, I should check on, But like South America, which I would like, we get a fair number of our cars from South America.
But I mean, we rely. I don't think anyone's going to be launching a new engine.
Yeah, no, I think there are a couple of the engines still on the way.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
cool. I think we need to move on.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention, I want us to do a quick thing of thanks.
Oh, okay.
Because I think we need to thank Paula for always monitoring cameras and things for us. I think it's quite cool.
Thank you.
And then she's bowing, you can't see. And then Matthew helped out the other day.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool. Thanks to everyone who watched. I think it's quite fun.
Yes. Thanks
to you, man.
Thanks to you. It was
quite
the two of us together. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, it's been good. But I just want to acknowledge that because I think
and it's been good. And so to everyone out there, have a good Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, a good Christmas, a good the end of 2023.
Yeah, and we'll see everybody in the New Year.
Yeah,
good God, 2024.
Yeah, well, let's definitely get more episodes out. It'll be good fun.
Yeah. I think we also change up the format a little bit. We're doing some sort of on the scene.
Yeah, on site. So what do they call remote?
Yeah.
TV land. We'll have some guests around.
Yeah.
A couple of people. I think I'm very excited that I'm going to reach out to some motorsport people, some maybe manufacturers and things like that, and let's get some interesting people to talk to. I think we'll be able to pick their brains.
Have got any suggestions or know anybody who might be interested?
Drop
us a message.
Any comments? Just shout. We'll be happy to hear some feedback.
Okay. So we're going to wrap it there.
Signing off for the year.
Signing off for the year.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks everyone. Cheers from Donovan.
Yeah. So cheers from David. Remember to follow us on the good old TikTok and Instagram and Threads.
Websites.
Oh, the website. Yeah. It's up drivindads.online.
Yeah.
That's quite cool.
No G.
Just drivindads.
Dads.
Yeah. Cool. There'll be links wherever people watch this. I'll be able to see it. But yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Okay. Cheers.